doing, everybody? And happy Friday. It is Friday. Welcome to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. Today, it's a special Friday. It's a special Friday. Austin, how are we doing on this Friday? Before we announce why it's special.
I was just going to say, we had a special day yesterday, too. Or was this the special day?
Today's a special day.
Today's a special day.
How are we doing on this Friday?
I'm glad it's Friday, Trage. Long week. Ready for the weekend. I mean, we got a lot of action going on in the state of Wisconsin, so it'll be fun to go through it.
It is a mess of sports going on this weekend. That's what we love to see, though. The special day is because it is our 100th episode here at Wisconsin Sports on the Go.
Hooray!
It's exciting. It's exciting. It is exciting to see. I thought maybe.
I was going to say, there you go.
There it is. Thank you.
Our huge crowd over there. Yep.
Our huge crowd. I got my two
live audience, by the way.
I got to tell you, shot 100 episodes here on Wisconsin Sports on the Go Trage. Austin joined probably, I'd say, about halfway through. But all 100 episodes, I have not been without my two counterparts here in the room with me. I got to thank them. I got Yount over here, and I got Yelly over there, my two dogs. They have been here through every episode. They don't miss a single one. When that door's closed, when I'm here in the room, they are here with me. They can't sit outside because they get all pissed off.
They're probably begging you to go to the bathroom or feed them or something, Trage, and then you just ignore them because you're shooting this podcast.
When we drag the conversations on too long, then they're like, dude, come on. Let's go. Let's go do something else. And then they're trying to play halfway through, and it's like, guys, settle down. But, it's just the awesome part is that, it's the little things, and those two, they share every single night with me here on Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. So awesome to see that we have made it to our 100th episode, and we plan on keeping on trucking here through the 2024 year, and hopefully we get to report some great Wisconsin news along the way. So with that, we got a lot to talk about today. We got the Bucks and the Spurs recap from last night. And that game was a nail-biter, to say the least. And then we got the Bucks in action coming up there this weekend playing the Rockets on Saturday. So we got to get into that one. Looking at the Badgers in action against Nebraska. A whole lot of college basketball there in the state of Wisconsin. And then the biggest matchup of the weekend, Packers, Bears, the season on the line for Green Bay at Lambeau Field. It couldn't set up any better. So we got to get into that game a little bit and then just look over the NFL schedule and get our fantasy picks in. Last week of fantasy on the show here, maybe we'll do some in the playoffs just because we can. But last week of the regular season for playoffs, so we got to see who can pick up that last win. But right away, we got to jump into the Bucks here. The Bucks win 125-121 over the San Antonio Spurs. And wow, a nail-biter. A struggling Spurs team. It took that fourth quarter for the Bucks to pull away. They were tied going into the fourth. They needed that fourth quarter to pull away there by 4 from the Spurs there. Big nights all the way around from some key players for the Bucks and also from the Spurs. So let's jump right away, Austin. What did we see in the box last night that stood out that helped the Spurs keep up with the Bucks here?
Well, for the Spurs to keep up with the Bucks, I mean, we know that the Bucks have averaged around that 130 mark, and here they score 125, so pretty close. And we knew that they're going to have to put up some points if they're going to want to win this game or play really good defense. But when you look at the box score, I mean, Devin Vassell for them, 34 points, 6 rebounds. He scored more than Wemby there. He was a big contributor to their 121-point mark there. But Wemby had 27 points, only 9 rebounds. He didn't hit double digits, which for a guy his size, I feel like you'd see that a little bit more. He did have 5 blocks, though, which is quite a bit of blocks there for a big guy. And then Jones had 18, Shohan had 9, and then Champagne he didn't have any points. And he only shot 4 times, missed all 4 baskets. So that also probably didn't help him as much. But they had a little bit of help off the bench. Johnson had 14, Osman had 13, and Barlow had 6. So even though Champagne didn't score any for them, they still luckily had help on the bench with Johnson and Osman there. And then when you look to the Bucks, I mean, not a terrible night. Giannis had 44 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. Damian Lillard had 25 points, 10 assists there, so both of them had double-doubles. Middleton there had 12 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. Beasley had 10, 2 rebounds. And then Brook Lopez only had 9 points. I feel like we've been seeing this a little bit too much here. Brook hasn't. It seems like he hasn't been as effective as he has in past years. You might be seeing a little bit of decline there from him, but maybe just got to get him in a little groove of things here. But only 9 points from him off the bench. The bench was led by Beauchamp here. He had 8 points for them. And then Pat Connaughton had 7, which isn't terrible for how Pat Connaughton's kind of been playing. I kind of read some things after their last loss. I was kind of scrolling through Instagram, clicked on the comments of the page, and a lot of fans aren't happy about Pat Connaughton and his defense and then his offense also. So a lot of fans aren't happy, but here he had 7 points and 6 rebounds, so not terrible by Pat coming off the bench. And then Cameron Payne had 5, and Portis only had 5, not 4 rebounds for Portis and 5 points. Cameron Payne, 5 points. So, I mean, we saw a little bit better off the bench for these guys compared to the last game that they just played against the Pacers. I will say, I mean, when you see them only score, I feel like we're so accustomed to them scoring so many high points that when we see him score 125, we're like, what the heck? I mean, I think this is still a very good win. Last time, I'm pretty sure when they played the Spurs, Wemby did not play. So with Wemby playing, there was another guy on the court that they had to worry about. And we kept him in check. I mean, 27 points and only 9 rebounds for him. I thought that was pretty good. But overall, we got the win, and that's what we needed on the road too, which we have not played very impressively on the road. We're 9-7 away from the Pfizer. And San Antonio's 2-15 at home. I mean, they don't have a very good record to begin with, but they don't play good at home either. We don't play very good away, so we were able to sneak this one out with a full San Antonio Spurs squad.
You know, a win's a win. I agree. You know, a win's a win. They had some good performances in there. Giannis with a good one. Pat off the bench with 7. Nothing to shake your head at. The concern that I have coming off this game is that the Spurs have struggled mightily this year, finding offense besides Victor. And in this one, this Spurs team was able to put one of their best games together against one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. That's my kind of worry with the Bucks right now is, you know, we really emphasized over the weeks here the defense for the Bucks and their lack of defense at times for the Bucks. And looking at this game here, that really emphasized in this one because we saw what a lesser team in the Spurs was able to do against the Bucks. They fed off the energy from Victor Wembanyama. He had some big plays there. He had a dunk over Brook Lopez. I mean, he had some big plays in this game. And the Spurs fed off of that, and they were able to keep it going. I mean, Giannis hit 2 threes in that third quarter there that gave the Bucks the lead. But, you know, it's not a guy you can rely on to be able to knock down those kind of shots consistently. So it worries me. It really does worry me that Giannis had a good night. He had a big night, 44 points, had 2 late threes that really solidified this one for the Bucks. But what worries me is that he's not a consistent shooter. They couldn't find other offense besides Giannis in this one for the most part. And this Spurs team was able to score against this Bucks defense when in all reality, this game, like we talked about yesterday, it should have been in hand by halftime. The Bucks let the Spurs hang around. They got up a big lead. The Spurs would find their way back. They fed off that energy. I know it's hard to go on the road and win. It's tough to go on the road, especially in the hostile environments. And, you know, the Spurs, they're a well put together organization, so they're going to find ways to stay in ball games. But your best offensive performance against the year coming against one of the best teams in the East, not something that's good for this Bucks team and kind of makes you worry a little bit, you know, heading into, because if the Bucks play like this against, let's just say, the Celtics, do you expect the Bucks to come out on top in that ball game? I don't think so. You know, that's just where I'm at right now. So the Bucks have a lot of things that they need to sort out. Defensive, maybe it's the communication on defense isn't working out right now. You know, maybe it's some defense in the backcourt. Maybe they need to I just think they need to get together. I think they need to get together as a team, and they need to work through maybe communication issues, or if it's, you know, on screens, don't sag, whatever it is that the Bucks are struggling with right now, because right now we're seeing it on the court and nothing's changing. It's just showing more and more, and now it's showing against a team coming in here at 5-28 going into that game. Now they're 5-29. The Bucks struggled to shut them down on the offensive end.
And to compare to the Spurs playing the Celtics, they played them 2 games ago. It was at San Antonio Spurs, and Boston won 134-101. They were able to they were way better defense. Their bench didn't score as much. And, I mean, Wemby had 21 points. Vassell had 22 points. But besides those two, it was very low scoring by the other starters there. That's what we're not seeing, like you're saying. That's what we're not seeing out of this Bucks team. We're not seeing that defense. I mean, the Boston Celtics were easily able to win this game, 134-101. They could put in some of their bench players a little garbage time there because of how much they got up. Even if the Bucks are up 125-101, that's still a really better win than when you look at it where it's 125 to whatever it was, 120 something, 120, 119, or 121. Yeah. So, I mean, that's just the difference, and that's what makes a team great or good, and that's what makes a team great. Right now, the Bucks are only good. The Boston Celtics, they're getting to be great. Honestly, I mean, they're the number one team in the East. They're the team that everyone's trying to beat right now. And I mean, if the Bucks are going to want to make a championship run, it's looking like it's going to have to go through the Celtics. So when you play those tougher teams, and the Bucks have played the Celtics a couple times, I'm pretty sure, and I don't know if any of the games have been close. I think one time, but they came back one time, barely. So yeah, they lost 119-116, and that was probably one of their best defensive nights you'll probably ever see. So at the way it's looking right now, the Celtics are the team to beat, and not trying to look not trying to look ahead of everything, but the Bucks defense just isn't going to be able to keep up with a lot of these teams that they're playing, like you said.
No, and I mean, your offense has to make up for it then, and you can't expect, Bobby Portis to come off the bench and drop 30 points for you every single night. He's going to have occasions where he's going to get 20 off the bench, and he's going to have a good night, but you can't expect it. I mean, you got to be able to hang your hat on your defense a little bit. I know, like, I've talked in the past, and I say that the NBA doesn't have as high-octane defense as what maybe college basketball has or what NBA used to be, but some defense is still needed in the game of basketball. And right now, this Bucks team, they can't defend on the perimeter. They can't chase guys off the three-point line. I mean, look at this game against the Spurs. If Trey Jones, he had a wide-open three there at the end, would have tied the game, missed it, and that's how the Bucks got the ball back, ended up shooting that free throw that got him that 125. This could be we could be talking about something different if that game went to overtime. That's a completely different ball game then. The Spurs might have pulled it out. The Bucks hung on, and that's what the good part about it is you're able to weather the storm. They were coming off of 2 straight losses against the Pacers, going to San Antonio. It was going to be a struggle. You had to get yourself back on track. But when you look at it, it's like, what's missing?
It's like a sour taste in your mouth,
Yep.
It's that sour taste. It's like we got the win, but against a really crappy team, and we beat them by 4. It's like you got to go back and figure something out. And, in the NBA, it just doesn't stop. You're going to keep playing. And, if you barely tough out these wins, that's good. You're going to get a good seed. But when you're playing these teams, when you get to the playoffs and it's a best of 7, then these tough games get way tougher for one. And then it's a shootout every single time. You don't know who's going to win the series.
Yeah, because right now you look at the team where they're at right now. If you gave me the Bucks versus the Pacers in the playoffs right now, I couldn't tell you that. I guarantee you the Bucks will come out of that series winning it.
You pretty much have to pick the Pacers at this point.
Yeah,
they basically beat them in a best of 7. It's 4-1. They're above us. So
yeah, so like you look at the schedule for the Bucks right now, and you look at the teams they played. I can't guarantee that the Bucks would come out of any series right now. That's the biggest thing. They aren't going on real big spurts right now. You look at their win streaks on the season right now. They had a 7-game win streak, but you look at the teams in there. They did beat the Magic in there. The Magic are a pretty good team. The Rockets aren't bad, and the Pacers aren't bad, but the Bulls, the Pistons, San Antonio Spurs, the first time around, they're able to win that one, in the Knicks. So right now the Bucks are missing something. They're missing a piece off the bench. They're missing something that's going to spark this team. Was Jrue Holiday? You're looking at this team and you're saying, what changed? Joe Ingles left. Grayson Allen left. Jrue Holiday got traded. Is one of them the key? Was one of them the key? And the only guy I can think out of there, besides maybe Grayson Allen's contribution there, he's a little better defender, and he's he can score a little bit. But besides that, the only guy I could think out of that group, Jrue Holiday. The difference between defense and offense. Jrue Holiday, a little bit of offense, had more defense. Damian Lillard, a lot more offense, not as much defense. It's the only thing that I can think that this Bucks team's missing right now that really would put them over the edge is a defensive factor out there in the backcourt right now to put on one of these guards. That's the big thing that I think the Bucks are missing, and I don't know. They got to find something. They got to find something out there because otherwise, this first year with Damian Lillard and Giannis is going to end in a catastrophe, and we'd hate to see it. We talked about being more optimistic, but you got to be a realist sometime too. And this is just being a realist right now that the Bucks are sinking, and it's just a matter of can they patch the ship before it goes down. That's where we're at right now with the Milwaukee Bucks. And they're going to have another test right after the San Antonio game. They're heading to the Rockets for a game there on Saturday. That'll be a 7 o'clock tip. The Rockets aren't a team to take lightly. 17-5 there, 14-5 at home. They're a pretty good home team. Right now, the Bucks, like we were talking about, 9-7 on the road so far this year, 25-10 overall going into this one. They're giving the Bucks the odds-on favor to win this game, but I think it's closer than the 66% chance they're giving them to win. I think this is definitely going to be a closer game. So with that, let's look at the stats a little bit here, Austin. What are we looking at for this Rockets team? They're coming into this one coming off of a win off the Brooklyn Nets. Won that game 112-101, and then they beat the Pistons before that. Lost the 76ers by 3. They equally have played the Pacers this season, and then lost to the Suns. That's their last 5 right there. So coming into this one, what are we looking at for stats? Who are we looking at there for the Rockets?
Yeah, this is a Houston team. They average 113 points per game and 45 rebounds per game, 25.4 assists per game. So kind of around the same mark as the Bucks minus the points per game, obviously. They're led by Alperen Sengun, their center. He averages 21.5 points per game and 9 rebounds per game and also 5 assists per game, which is pretty surprising as being a center there, but 5.2 assists per game. And then Fred Van Vliet. I don't know. We've heard him before. We've played him against him before when he was with Toronto, but now he's with the Houston Rockets. He averages 17.5 points per game and 8.6 assists. Jalen Green, I think he's in his second year now. He averages 17.4 points per game. Dylan Brooks, I don't know if you know, but we know how good of a defender Dylan Brooks is. He's not much there for his offense. He averages 13.6 points per game, 3.5 rebounds, but he's a really good defender. I do know that. And then Jabari Smith Jr., 13.3 points per game for them. Aaron Holiday averages 6.9 points per game, and then Jeff Green averages 6.5 points per game. And those two, they played every single game, so I'm guessing they're going to probably come off the bench. If not, they start and they just don't play, or they don't get a lot of points there. But a lot of it is going to come through Alperen Sengun, their center, and Fred VanVleet, I think, and Jalen Green, because those are their top 3 scorers. And Sengun, he's a really good rebounder. I don't know. Like you said, we play there. We don't play good on the road. And after watching the San Antonio Spurs game, who knows? It can be a toss-up any of these games now because San Antonio was one of the worst teams in the West. And now we're playing this Houston Rocket team. They're pretty average. They're 17-15, third in the Southwest Division, but 17-15 overall. So they're pretty average. They're about a little over 500 there. So nothing to take light on this team. And, any game now, I wouldn't take light on any team because we got to prove ourselves. We got to prove our defense. They say they average 113 points. So the question is, are we going to hold them to 113 or is it going to be a lot more? And are we going to have to score a lot more just to beat this team?
Yeah, and, like you said, this is a pretty good Houston Rockets team. They're not bad. They're not bad by any means. Going into this one, it's going to be the question mark of what can the Bucks prove? We're going on the road. You're now 0-2 on this 3-game road trip. Can you pull off a win? Can you win one on the road? Because it doesn't matter. You get into the NBA playoffs, you're going to have to be able to win on the road at some point. Look at Golden State Warriors from last season there. They were terrible on the road. They probably won 10 games on the road all season. I know that's probably an exaggeration, but I know they were terrible. They got in the playoffs, couldn't win on the road. That was their problem. They couldn't win road games. That killed them there in the playoffs. This Bucks team has got to be able to figure out how to win in a hostile environment. They got to be able to win on the road. The thing that's the optimistic side of this whole situation, the Bucks are a veteran team. They have Damian Lillard. They have Middleton. They have Giannis. They have Brook Lopez. They have Beasley. They have Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis. All guys who have been there, done that. They have been in the league for a while. They know what it takes. Damian Lillard's been to the playoffs. He's been to the Western Conference Finals. The Bucks, Giannis, Brook, those guys been to the finals, been to the Eastern Conference Finals. They know the path of what has to be done. That's the optimistic side of this, is that those guys, the veteran leadership, should be able to get this Bucks team back on track. That's the biggest thing that I think we need to. It gives you that sigh of relief. It gives you that hope. If you were relying on a rookie-led team to be able to figure it out, that'd be different. It's like the Detroit Pistons. Very young. You don't expect them to be able to figure it out yet because they don't have that veteran leadership in the room. You look at this Bucks team, that gives me hope that they can figure it out maybe sooner, hopefully sooner rather than later here, because right now, looking at it, they're 2 games back of the Celtics. They're only 1 game up on the 76ers. They're 3.5 games up on this Miami Heat team. So, it's definitely going to be something to watch out for here for the Bucks heading up there against the Rockets. So that should be a pretty good matchup there. Bucks and Rockets coming up 7 o'clock there from Houston. So with that, Austin, you still there? Austin?
Yeah, I'm still here. I don't know. I tried plugging my phone in to charge my phone, and now my screen's all black. So that's great.
Yeah, it said you switched devices. I don't know what's going on right now.
I don't know. Are we still recording though, right?
We're still recording, so hopefully everything's okay. So with that, well, we had a little technical difficulty there, but we're going to move on here. We're going to talk about Game Day Supply in Onalaska. They're having a big sale right now. True Hockey City Flight hoodies are 25% off right now. Only $60, usually $80. So huge sale right there. Blowout prices on True Catalyst and Hazardous hockey sticks. Also in exciting news, now available Speed Tech fleece sweaters or sweatshirts and zip-ups, anything like that. The best of comfort and style, perfect for corporate wear, full zip hoodies and warm-ups, joggers, and your choice of you can get sweatpants with it, hoodies, choose from a wide variety of vibrant colors, and personalized with embroidering. So you can get anything you want on these sweatshirts. Elevate your wardrobe with the latest in comfort and fashion from Game Day Supply. So huge sale going on right now. And if you check them out at GameDaySupply.net, check them out on the website there. They have free shipping on orders $125 or more. So with that, I want to move on here. We got to talk about the Badgers in action. They will be taking on Nebraska. That should be a pretty good matchup there for the Badgers. Just getting that thing pulled up real quick here. Now my Wi-Fi is starting to we're having technical difficulties all over the place right now, but I got her up here. We got the Badgers. That game is going to be tipping off there at 1:15. Kind of an odd start time for the Badgers there. 1:15 on BTN up against Nebraska there. Number 21, Wisconsin, sitting at 10-3. Nebraska coming in this one at 12-2 on the season. Austin, what are we looking at for stats coming into this one for the Badgers taking on Nebraska?
Yeah, they're led by, now this is going to be a really hard name to pronounce, Kasai Tominaga. Kasai Tominaga. That's what I'm going with. He averages 14 points per game. And then Bryce Williams averages 13.8. Rank Mass averages 12.7 points per game. Jawan Gary averages 12.5 points per game. And then after that, it's kind of a lot of guys that kind of just fill in there. CJ Wilcher, 8 points per game. And then Jamarcus Lawrence averages 6.8 points per game. Overall, this team averages 78.2 points per game. So not terrible. Not terrible. We've seen the Badgers play much worse teams for sure. This team is 12-2. They're a pretty good team as of late. They're third in the Big Ten. So technically, I'm pretty sure they're probably the same as Wisconsin. They probably won just as they're probably undefeated in conference right now. As a team, they average 40 rebounds per game and 15 assists per game. So kind of along the lines of the Badgers as of rebounds a game. Rank Mask, Mast, he averages the most rebounds per game with 9.3 and also assists. He averages three assists per game. Juwan Gary averages 1.4 steals per game and then 0.9 blocks per game. So Juwan Gary definitely probably one of their better defenders. Overall, I mean, once again, it's another team that doesn't technically have a center listed, like officially a center. It's a lot of forwards and guards. But if I'd have to guess, Ryan Mast, he's 6'10", so technically he would be their big guy up there. I mean, Steven Crowell, he's still 7 feet, 7'1". So I mean, we have probably a little bit of an advantage if Ryan Mast is their tallest guy there. He's from the Netherlands, I see, so that makes sense why it's a little tougher to pronounce his name. He's got an odd name, but kind of cool. But like I said, it's going to be definitely not an easy game. Nebraska, I feel like they're never overly easy. They're always pretty tough to play. And to the looks of it, it's at Wisconsin, though, so that does help. That helps the Badgers there being at home, and it should be a good game.
Yeah, this is going to be a massive matchup for the Badgers. Nebraska, nothing to shake your head at this year. 12-2. They're coming on a 5-game win streak. Wins against Kansas State, Michigan State, and Indiana in that stretch. Badgers also coming into this one after they've won 4 of their last 5 that lost to Arizona in that little mix there. Coming off a win against Iowa. Ryan Mast, like you were saying there, we've seen him before. He was on Bradley last season when we faced Bradley there in the NIT tournament. So we've seen Ryan Mast. We know what he's about. He's good in the post. He can hit it from downtown. He's at about 30% this season. He was at 35% last season. So he's a big man who can step out and hit it from out there. Looking at Nebraska as a whole, I mean, this game, just like any other for Wisconsin, it's going to be won in the paint. What can Steven Crowell and Tyler Wall get done in the paint here against a very good Nebraska team? Also, it's going to come down to, can we run Tommy Meninga off of the three-point line? He's a very good shooter, can ring it up from downtown there, and he can get to the basket at will. So what can the Badgers do in this one defensively that's going to be able to slow him down? A big thing in this one to watch out for is the play of Max Klesmit. Max Klesmit in the last game there, he's banged up a little bit. Everything seems to checked out. He said it was just a tweak, so everything looks good in that aspect. So it probably will be Max Klesmit who's going to be paired up with him in this ball game defending. So should be a good game for Max Klesmit out there against him. Other than that, I mean, you look at these, you look at Nebraska right now, and 44% from the field shooting-wise on the season, 40 rebounds per game. 6 steals, so they're going to try and turn Wisconsin over. That's a big thing they're going to have to prevent in this one. Only allowing about 65 points per game is Nebraska, so a very sound defensive team. You compare them to Wisconsin, also sitting there at 65. So both teams are going to try to shut the other down defensively here in this one. Looking at points per game, Nebraska and Wisconsin, like you're talking, I mean, Nebraska's sitting at 78 per game right now, Wisconsin 74. That's pretty darn close. These two teams evenly matched heading into this matchup here. At the Kohl Center, definitely going to be a boost for the Badgers. Should be a good game here to watch. I think really it's going to come down to, like I said, what can the Badgers do in the paint? Limiting turnovers, but also what can they do in the paint in this one? Steven Crowell and Tyler Wall especially, to get some of these shooters open. You know, you're going to have to work through the post to be able to make things happen here with Chucky, Klesmit, AJ Storr, Blackwell, whoever it is for guards in this game. What can they do out there at the perimeter when we get in the paint? If they double, when we kick out, can they hit shots? That's going to be a big thing in this ball game here to watch out for. I think the big guys to watch out for in this game, as always, AJ Storr. He's having a great first season with Wisconsin. I definitely think he's going to be a guy to watch out for in this one. And also, it's going to have to come down to what can Steven Crowell do. I mean, you look at that game against Bradley there in the NIT tournament against Ryan Mast, slowed him down, was able to kind of control him. We're going to have to see a big game out of Steven Crowell here on the offensive end, but also on the defensive end and rebounding the basketball. No second chance points for Nebraska. Got to be able to get the rebounds here and get out and run a little bit. Also, like I was talking, limiting turnovers. This Nebraska team is going to look to turn over Wisconsin. They're going to look to get out and run and get ahead of Wisconsin, get Wisconsin out of their elements, and that's slowing the game down. Wisconsin's definitely got to be able to control the pace in this one, play their game, don't get out of control, and don't turn the basketball over. That's going to be huge in this ball game here. So those are my key players in this one. Austin, what do you got for your key players to watch out for in this ball game?
Yeah, same as you, kind of. I mean, Stephen Crowell, kind of like how you were saying with um, Rank being part of Bradley last year, and they matched up. So it'll be interesting to see how that matchup happens again. They're a little bit familiar with each other, so that'll be interesting to see. But then also John Blackwell, he only had 5 points against Iowa, and so it'll be interesting to see if he can come off the bench and give a little bit of a spark, especially with Klesmit maybe not playing so hot. Klesmit had 15 points last game, so that did help a lot for the Badgers. Overall, I think it'll be interesting to see. We scored 83 points, and that was due to, I mean, Crowell, Wall, AJ Storr, and Klesmit all being in double figures. That's what we're going to probably need again against a pretty good Nebraska team. Nebraska did beat Indiana by 16 points, and Indiana is, I mean, historically a really good basketball program, and they're another good basketball program. So, or another year that they're good. So, it's definitely going to be a good matchup. I think it's going to have to be a full team effort, limit turnovers, and then also score when there is a turnover on the other end. And usually Wisconsin's been pretty good overall as a team and every year at limiting turnovers, keeping it under the 10 turnover limit mark. And it's going to kind of need the same thing, and then just rebounds. I think it'll come down to offense rebounds and overall just getting more rebounds than them, getting second chance. This might be a game that we might see that might happen in the conference tournament later down the road. This might be a matchup that we could see possibly then. So it'll be good to get a leg up on them right now as when we're playing pretty good basketball.
Definitely should be a big game for the Badgers there. 1:15 start time for the Badgers there against Nebraska. That game will be on Big Ten Network there on Saturday. But with that, we got to move on here. Marquette Golden Eagles, the men's, are in action on Saturday. They will be taking on Seton Hall. That game will be at 11 on CBS SN. Looks like we'll have that game on Saturday. Marquette coming into this one, ranked 7th in the nation, 11-3 overall, 2-1 in conference play so far this year. Seton Hall coming into this one, 9-5, 2-1 in conference play on the year. Marquette coming into this game, coming off of wins against Georgetown and Creighton. They dropped that game against Providence before that, and then had wins against St. Thomas and Minnesota and Notre Dame before that. Seton Hall coming in off of a win against Providence, an upset win against Providence. They lost to Xavier before that, got a win against UConn there as of late. So this Seton Hall team, nothing to shake at, 9-5 on the year, but coming off of wins there in that stretch against the likes of UConn and Providence, two of the top teams in the Big East. So definitely some decent basketball. This should be a good game here. So Austin, what are we seeing for stats out of Seton Hall and Marquette leading up into this one?
Yeah, we know a little bit about Marquette because we played them already, beat them, and they averaged 78 points per game. Seton Hall, they averaged 73 points per game. So, like you said, it's going to be interesting between these two teams. Seton Hall, definitely a very respectable team. Marquette have some big wins, but some kind of ugly losses there. And I'll just start with Marquette here. They're led by Tyler Kolek. He averages 15.3 points per game for them, 6 assists. Cam Jones, 14.6 points per game. Also, Iguodala has 13 points per game, and then David Joplin has 9 points per game. And then just to round off the top 5, Chase Ross has 7 points per game. After that, it's kind of a lot of – they got some bench guys that like Sean Jones. He averages 5.9. Ben Gold averages 5.4 points per game. But those guys are kind of just filling guys there. They've played in all the games, so I figured I'd just mention them a little bit. But the main rebounds for Marquette go to also Iguodala. It's their big guy, their center, as you want to call him. He's listed as a forward, but he's basically their center. He averages 6.7 rebounds per game. Like I said, Kolek, he leads the team in assists, 6.3, and also steals with 1.7. And Iguodala averages 0.9 blocks per game. So it's basically Iguodala and Kolek who kind of lead this Marquette team, but also they have key contributors like Cam Jones, David Joplin, and Chase Ross. They average 34 rebounds per game and 15.6 assists per game and 8 steals per game. So definitely get it going on the defensive end. This Seton Hall team, like I said, as a team, 73 points per game. They average 37.8 rebounds per game and 12.6 assists per game. They're led by Kadary Richmond, who averages 15.3 points per game. Dre Davis averages 13.6 per game. Al Amar Dawes averages 12.1 points per game. Jaden Bediako averages 9.4 points per game. And then Dylan Ode Wosu averages 8.3 points per game. The rebounds is Jaden Bediako, their center, 7.9 rebounds per game. Assists is Kadari Richmond with 4.4 rebounds per game, and steals with 2.4 steals per game. And then blocks is led by Jaden Bediako, 1.6 points per game. So it's honestly kind of similar to this Marquette Golden Eagles team. I mean, with points and assists and steals, they're led by kind of their main point guard, and then rebounds and blocks, they're led by their main center, which, I mean, a lot of teams are like that, but with both of them, it's their two main guys. And same with Seton Hall, same with Marquette. I think there's going to be a pretty good game. I mean, you've seen Marquette, some of their games, they played pretty close. I mean, they just recently lost to Providence, and Seton Hall, they just beat Providence. So, I mean, you never know. I mean, it could be a very good game. I think this might be one to watch here, considering Marquette, they are ranked 7th there. Seton Hall not ranked, but, I mean, later down the road, if they get a win here and they play Providence and Marquette, they play them both one more time, they could be ranked later down on the road. And number 4 UConn, they play later on the road. So,
yeah, this is definitely it's going to be a good matchup. It is. I mean, like you were talking there, you look across the board at even their team stats. You look at points per game, points allowed. They're dang near right on 78-73 points per game, points allowed 66-68. I mean, so these teams, you look at their field goal percentage. Marquette sitting there at 46, and Seton Hall at 45. Rebounds, they're dang near all the way across comparable. So these two teams, it's going to be an even match game, I think. I mean, it's going to depend on what Seton Hall does on the defensive end to slow down Marquette. They're going to look to get out and run and kind of push the tempo in this one. So it's going to definitely be a big matchup. I think it's going to be a high-flying, fast game. That's what I really think in this one, because Seton Hall likes to push the ball and push the button a little bit too. So this should be a pretty big matchup here. So that's going to be at 11 o'clock on Saturday there on CBS-SN. That should be a huge matchup for Marquette. But with that, I just want to talk about last night in some Horizon League action. Green Bay picked up the win against Detroit Mercy. They got the win 69-51. And Milwaukee dropped the game against Oakland, a high-scoring game. 100-95 was the final score there. Milwaukee lost in that one. Before we jump to the women's side of college basketball, I just want to talk about home team Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell. Find them on Facebook at Home Team Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield. But with that, I want to move on here. Excuse me. I want to move on here. I want to talk about the women's side of college basketball here coming up this weekend. We're going to have Green Bay in action there, the women's in action against Northern Kentucky. That should be a pretty good matchup there for Green Bay. And then looking at Milwaukee, they will be in action against Wright State there coming up on Friday night. Both of those games will be tonight here. So should be some pretty good action there in the Horizon League for the women. Looking at Saturday action there, we're going to have Xavier and Marquette in action there in women's basketball coming up on Saturday. Looking at this matchup, Xavier coming to this one at 1-10. Marquette women coming off that loss there, sitting at 12-2 on the year so far, sitting at 19 in the country. So, Austin, what are we looking at for stats in that one? Some of the key players to watch out for.
Yeah, for Xavier, I mean, like you said, they're 1-10, so not the greatest. They only average 52 points per game, but they're led by Michaela Scarlett. She averages 13.4 points per game, and she also leads the rebounds per game with 8.7 and blocks with 1. Their next top scorer is Neela Blackford. She averages 10 points per game. Kaisea Woods averages 9.5 points per game. Taylor Purvis averages 6.2 points per game. Daniela Lopez is 5.9 points per game. And then their last one who kind of played, I'm just reading off the names that they've played all the games, and that's Lika, I don't know how to say this last one, Vertvila. That's pretty close. The K's are silent. She averages 2.6 points per game. It says Michaela Scarlett is active. She's only played 7 games, but I assure you she's probably still one of their best players out there. Neela Blackford, though, I think I might have screwed up my stats here. I'm screwing up here. Neela Blackford, she averages the points, but then she averages the rebounds per game, 8.7 and blocks. They actually, ESPN screwed up because it says that Neela Blackford is leading the points, but Michaela Scarlett, 13.4 points per game. Don't know why it has to be so confusing, but it is. Blame ESPN, I guess. Overall, I mean, like I said, they're one, and you said they're 1-10 coming into the season here. Not very good. And with what we were kind of reading off yesterday with Marquette seems like just a better team overall. And I don't think they'll have that much trouble handling this Xavier squad here tonight, or on, what is that? When do they play? On Saturday? I think you said? Saturday, yep. So should be a Marquette win. But, I mean, Marquette did just lose to a team that we possibly didn't think that they would have lost to. So anything can happen. Anything can happen in basketball here.
Yeah, should be a pretty good matchup there. Marquette coming to this one averaging about 77 points per game there, and Xavier's allowing about 67. Marquette currently is 11-0 when they score over 67 points. So Marquette's got that, that average goal they got to get to there, and then they should be in the clear in this one. Looking at going this so far this season, the Eagles are averaging about 20 assists and 14.9 turnovers per game. When Marquette has an assist to turnover ratio better than its season mark of 1.34, the Golden Eagles are 7-1 on this young season. Xavier's 52 points per game this season is 9.4 fewer than the 61.4 that Marquette has given up this season so far. So Marquette's defense versus Xavier's offense. They got to just slow down Xavier's offense to what it's been averaging this season. Don't let them get that upset-minded and get the energy. Marquette should be able to handle this one this game should be over by halftime. Looking at the stats here, looking at what they've done this season. But, I've seen crazier. So it wouldn't surprise me if Xavier hangs around in this one a little bit. The Golden Eagles should be able to put them away there pretty early, though. So it should be a good matchup there. 2 o'clock there on Saturday. A big matchup for Marquette, looking to bounce back after that loss to St. John's. But with that, I just want to talk about Wisconsin women. They're coming off a loss there on Thursday. They lost to Nebraska. 69-57 was the final in that one. Nebraska kind of controlled this one from the opening tip. They went up 38-27 at the half. A low-scoring third quarter. Wisconsin kind of closed the gap there. 20 points there in the third quarter compared to Nebraska's 11. But the fourth quarter, Nebraska was able to pick it back up. 20 points there in the fourth quarter compared to Wisconsin's 10 to put them away late in this one. So, Austin, you got the stats up for this one. What did we see for stats there in that one that stood out for Nebraska and Wisconsin?
Nebraska, they were led by their top 2 players here with Potts averaging, or she didn't average. She had 16 points in the game. And then Markowski had 13 points in the game, also with 11 rebounds. She had a double-double, so a big game for the center there, Markowski. Their bench also, a lot of players played for their bench. And a lot of them they were single digits, but all of them scored that were on their bench there. For Wisconsin, it was mainly led by Williams. She had 16, but Sharamek had 12 and Porter had 10 for them. And then off the bench, Lusinger had 13. So not a bad night for Wisconsin. Williams had 16 points, like I said, but also 9 rebounds, and Porter also had 9 rebounds. So almost double-double for both of them. They out-rebound Nebraska by 2. And but Nebraska had 12 offensive rebounds. The Badgers had 14 offensive rebounds. And like you said, that third quarter there was big, but in the fourth quarter, Nebraska did the same thing that Wisconsin kind of did to them, and they scored 20. We scored 10. And that's kind of where we fell short. We shot 6 for 8 at the free throw line. They shot 10 for 18 at the free throw line. And they shot 9 for 27 at the three-point line, and we shot 7 for 33. So, they were just a little bit ahead of us, and we just could not close the gap when we had to. We had a chance there in the fourth, at the beginning of the fourth, but overall just fell short.
It was definitely a game of runs, and Nebraska took the big run in this one. Wisconsin kind of clawed back there in that third quarter, made it a little bit closer, but Nebraska proved to be the better team in this one. 11-3 on the season. I mean, they've played some pretty big matchups and won some pretty big games so far this year. So in that one, I mean, like you were talking there, the 3-point line, definitely a difference in this one. Couple extra for Nebraska. The free throw line, it was a factor, but not majorly a factor in this one. It was just kind of, a low scoring affair, not really good shooting on either team's part. Wisconsin was just on the losing end of the shooting battle in this one. Rebounds, close right there, like you were talking. Turnovers, not bad in that aspect. Just outscored, basically, couple extra shots here and there. Both teams are evenly matched in this one, just a couple extra shots here and there that Nebraska was able to knock down that Wisconsin wasn't. So, it gives you, it's an optimistic look at Wisconsin there, is that they played, a relatively good game against a pretty good Nebraska team. So good things moving forward there for Wisconsin. They will have a matchup here coming up on Sunday. That'll be against Illinois. That should be a pretty good matchup there. That'll be at Illinois coming up at 2 o'clock. There on Sunday. Illinois coming into that one 6-6 on the year, and Wisconsin at 7-5. So this should be a pretty good matchup for Wisconsin. So Austin, you got stats up there for Illinois coming into this one?
Illinois, they averaged 74.8 points per game. So kind of a high scoring team for this Illini team. Their leading average in points is Genesis Bryant with 14.9 points per game, and then Makira Cook averages 13.8 points per game. Kendall Bostic, 12.8 points per game. And then Adalia McKenzie has 10.3 points per game. The one who leads them in the rebounds is Kendall Bostic. She has 8.9 rebounds per game. Makira Cook has 3.7 assists per game. Genesis Bryant has 1.7 steals per game. And then Bryn Shoup-Hill has one block per game. So, overall, you see it's kind of spread out between all of them, that they all have their part. They all do their part in winning these games. They're 6-6 overall. So, nothing overly like we've seen with Nebraska, how they're kind of dominant. But this team, they have 74.8 points per game, 36.4 rebounds per game, and 13.6 assists per game, 7.3 steals per game. So they definitely get it on the defensive end. And Wisconsin, they had 14 turnovers this last game against Nebraska. So that's definitely going to be something you're going to want to look out for, is how Wisconsin takes care of the ball here against Illinois. But, specific players to look for: Genesis Bryant, Makira Cook, Kendall Bostic, and Adalia McKenzie.
Yeah, and looking at them, they got some decent three-point shooters on that team. Genesis Bryant, like you were saying there, 42% from downtown on the year. She's an 81% free throw shooter. They're pretty good at the free throw line, 74% at the line, 30% from downtown, nothing terrible there, only averaging about 11 turnovers per game. So not really prone to turning the basketball over. They're decent at handling the rock here going into this one. Looking at it, you look at this roster for Illinois, they got some good pieces, they got some average pieces. Right now, you have four girls on that team averaging over 10 points per game. Other than that, the scoring kind of drops off, like you were saying there. Rebounding, definitely going to be big in this one. Illinois coming in 36 rebounds per game coming into this one. They're good at sharing the basketball, 13 assists per game on the season so far. So definitely something to watch out for in that one. Got to be able to slow them down there and kind of limit them at the three-point line in this one. Don't let them hurt you from downtown. They're coming into this one off a close loss against number 16 Indiana. They're 77-71. This team has been in, you look back at their schedule here, and their losses, they're in most of it. Michigan blew them out there 84-48, but besides that, their losses, they've been close. Look at Marquette game against Illinois, 71-67. Notre Dame, 79-68. So close games in losses for Illinois. So they're right on the outside looking in of picking up some big wins there is Illinois. So it definitely should be a good matchup for the Badgers coming up there. That game will be on Sunday. Should be a awesome game to check out there. If you got, if there's nothing else going on, it's on at 2 o'clock right before the Packer game there on Sunday. So definitely something to check out there. Wisconsin and Illinois coming from the State Farm Center there in Champaign, Illinois. But with that, I want to move on here. We're going to talk about Pittsville Farm and Home Center at the store in Pittsville. They serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see them and the awesome crew down there at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville. But with that, Austin, we got to jump over. We got to talk about our fact of the day. Right now, we got no tunes, so you're just going to have to go straight into it. I'll give you a drum roll. Lead into it.
On this day in 1957, the Dodgers' Jackie Robinson announces his retirement from baseball. He said that he'd rather retire than be traded to the New York Giants. So he retired on this day in 1957.
You go from yesterday, a person biking around the world, to Jackie Robinson on the next day.
I feel like I gotta just switch it up. You can't have the same thing you can't have same sports all the time. You gotta switch it up. So, one day talk about bicycling, next day baseball. Who knows? On Monday, I haven't had a soccer fact. I'll admit, I haven't had a soccer fact yet. They're hard to find. It's not one of the popular sports here in America. It's definitely growing, but this website just doesn't care about soccer, I guess. So, and quite frankly, neither do I. I just stick to football. Strictly football, American football, not football. I don't talk about that stuff. Strictly American football here, and baseball, basketball, and cycling.
There you go. So with that, we're going to move on here. We got to get out of football, and we're going to jump into football here because we got a huge matchup coming up for the Packers here coming up on Sunday, a do-or-die game, the playoffs on the line there at Lambeau. That'll be a 3:25 kickoff. The Bears coming in this one, 7-9 on the season. 7-9 looks bad, but this Bears team is on the rise right now, and it's a scary thought to have with this game being for everything right now. Packers coming to this one sitting at 8-8 right now. They control their destiny right now. They win, they're in. Looking at it right now, they'd have the Cowboys coming up there in the playoffs, but that's too far to look at right now. So with that, Austin, what are we seeing for stats for these two teams? Some of the things we want to look out for in this one.
Yeah, looking at stats, their quarterback, Justin Fields, he played against us the first time in week 1, and now he's back, and he's playing a lot better than the last time we saw him. He got injured, so their backup, Tyson Bagent, was in there, but now he's back. Justin Fields is back. He's averaging, or not averaging, but he has a 61% completion rate there with 216 passes completed, 2,414 yards, and 16 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. He's been sacked 39 times, and Bagent was sacked 5 times. So they have a total of 45 sacks, and hopefully our D-line, we see that what they did last week, and they get to the quarterback again this week. But like I said yesterday, it's keeping Justin Fields contained. And why I say that, you look at the rushing stats. He's had 116 carries, 630 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Now, a lot of those could be design runs, and I don't know if they count carries as if it's a broken play and he carries the ball. If he was like a pass play, I don't know if they count that as a carry or not, but I'm assuming they do. And so keeping him contained in the pocket is going to be crucial for the Packers D-line and a defense as a whole because he can run the ball. He's a leading rusher. But they also have Khalil Herbert there. He has 120 carries for 583 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Dante Foreman has 109 carries for 425 yards and 4 touchdowns. Those two, Foreman was injured and Khalil Herbert was injured a little bit too, but I'm pretty sure both of them are back and they're playing pretty good football. I mean, Chicago's playing pretty good football all around as a team, and I mean, good for them. You hate to say it, but good for them because they've been just terrible the past how many years. Receiving wise, DJ Moore. He's their leading receiver there with 92 receptions, 1,300 yards receiving, and 8 touchdowns. Their tight end, Cole Kmet, has 70 receptions, 678 yards, and then Darnell Mooney, 31 receptions, 414 yards. And he has 1 touchdown. Cole Kmet has 6 touchdowns. So kind of those 3, it's those big 3. There's a couple other guys that have added a touchdown in there, but it's mainly DJ Moore. That's probably the biggest guy we have to look out for. He's been having a couple huge games. And, I mean, we've seen the Packers' defense, specifically their DBs, last week against Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. We were able to lock them down. Here we're going to have to need the same thing. We're going to need the same thing on DJ Moore and Darnell Mooney. And it should be, I mean, I don't want to say it's probably going to be a good game, but I was looking at some of the predictions, and it's pretty much split 50-50 on who's going to win this game from the prediction of other people. Just looking at who's like what's the prediction. It's about, I mean, Packers are projected to win 57.3%, so it's still pretty much 50-50 here. Packers, I mean, their offense has been playing good. We talk about it all the time. Offense, I mean, Jordan Love just won NFC Player of the Week, so that's pretty cool. Their defense, though, iffy at times. If we let Justin Jefferson run all over us, or not Justin Jefferson, Justin Fields run all over us, it's gonna kill us, and we're gonna feel it. But I mean, if we see like we saw last week, keeping the quarterback in the pocket and getting to him, fluster him a little bit, we should be able to carry away with this win, especially at Lambeau too. We got the advantage here.
So looking it up, I just wanted to look it up. So it is counted as a carry because technically it counts as rushing yards for the quarterback when they scramble. So it is counted as a rushing attempt. So therefore it would count as a carry. So however many carries he's got, that counts both towards scrambling and if it is a designed run for Justin Fields. I just had to look that up to see what it all was. But with that, I mean, looking at this one, looking at this game, the Bears coming into it off of a win over Atlanta, 37-17. Packers, we know they beat the Vikings 33-10. The Bears offense right now, overall ranked 17th in the league. Rushing, they're ranked 2nd. Pass, they're ranked 27th. Scoring, they're ranked 16th in the league. Bears defense, a little bit better. Overall, 12th in the league. Their rush defense is actually number 1. The best rush defense in the league. Their pass defense is ranked 21st, and their scoring is ranked 20th right now. So the Packers, if they want to win this game, it's going to have to be through the air. So, I mean, because the run defense for the Bears is phenomenal. They've been slowing down guys left and right. We're going to have to be able to get the run game going at some point in this game, but it's going to have to be reliant on what can Jordan Love do and how well can he sling the ball around in this game. Good news for the Packers in this one. I mean, their offense is ranking up there right now. Overall, they're ranked 13th in the league. Rush, they're ranked 15th. Pass, they're ranked 17th. Scoring, they're the 11th ranked scoring offense in the league right now. Looking at the defense, they're overall 21st. Their rush defense, 28th in the league. So one of the better running teams in the league, and the Bears going up against one of the worst rushing defenses in the Packers. So not good in that aspect. Going into this one, their pass is ranked 11th, and their scoring defense is ranked 14th in the league right now. So the run is, like you were talking there, containing Justin Fields in the backfield, not letting him get out of the pocket, make him uncomfortable in there, make him make mistakes throwing the football in this one. Justin Fields is your player to watch, like you were talking, for the Bears. What can he do? What can Justin Fields do either in the run game or the pass game to be able to beat up on this Packers defense going into this one? That is going to be a huge thing to watch out for. For the Packers, Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is going to be the guy to watch. 2 touchdowns in their victory against Chicago early on this season. He had that hamstring injury then. He's been out. He's had his time off. But, I mean, lately, 100-yard rushing performances, has done phenomenal out of the backfield. It's going to have to be a big day from Aaron Jones there to spread this defense out for the Bears. Looking at some of the key matchups, Jordan Love going up against the Bears pass defense. Jordan Love has got to make mistakes happen. He's got to make the Bears pay for mistakes there in the open field. Good news is it looks like Christian Watson will be back for this game. Also, Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks. We'll get into the injury report here heading into the weekend. But with those guys being back, he's got his troops. The general's got his troops out there. So I expect big things out of Jordan Love in this one, and to see what Bo Melton does. Coming off a phenomenal performance there against in this last game here against the Vikings, what can Bo Melton do in his second game there for the Packers? What do we get out of this receiving core? Not the named guys like Romeo Doubs, Reed, Wicks, and Watson. What do the non-factor guys do in this ball game? The Packers offensive line going up against this Bears D-line, looking at the run defense for the Bears, how well they've been playing. It's going to be huge what the Packers offensive line can do. What kind of push can they get? What kind of blocking schemes do they draw up? It's going to come down to what can Matt LaFleur draw up in this game that's going to take the Bears and put them on edge. Get them on their toes, not knowing what's going to happen next. I think that's going to be a big thing to look at in this one. The Packers, beating the Bears 9 straight times now. Most recent, like we were talking about early on in the season, the Bears' most recent win against the Packers was a 24-17 game in 2018 against the Packers there. Green Bay undefeated against the Bears since Matt LaFleur took over. So if you look at some of the history highlights to look at there, that's what you got to look at, is that the Packers have been successful against the Bears as of late. Looking at this one, I mean, the Packers going to have to slow down the Bears' run game like you were talking there. They got some decent guys in the backfield that the Packers will have to watch out for in this game. So, Austin, what are your keys for this game for the Packers to pick up the victory here?
Kind of like what you were saying, the offensive line. That's probably going to be the huge impact for us. The Bears also have some pretty good linebacker play. Also, I mean, they got Edmonds and Edwards there in the middle for the linebackers, both leading them in like interceptions and also tackles. So their linebackers are probably one of the best core linebackers in the league. But then they also got some pretty good D linemen. They got Sweat and then also all their players on the D linemen for them. We saw what happens when the Packers O-line kind of control the trenches. You see what happens against Minnesota. That's what we're going to need. We're going to need to do that against this Bears defense. Also, I think what's going to be crucial is setting the tone for rushing. Now, you say we're going to have a big passing game. I think we're also going to need to have a big rushing game. I mean, you can't be afraid to run the ball against the number one rushing defense. You got to be able to still attack because the rushing game, doing good in that, opens up the passing game. You can't be one-dimensional here. So I think that's also going to be crucial. And like you also said, we have Christian Watson back. I'm pretty sure Dontavion Wicks, he's practicing, so he might be back. Jaden Reed looks like he's going to be fine, so he might be back too. We're stacked, and now Bull Mellon's playing really good. We're kind of – what's the dog? Trace, what's the dog's doing? Dog's out there. He's licking your hand there. Anyway. I told you. He needs to go to the bathroom. No. So now we finally have a full arsenal here. Let Jordan Love go to work. Don't make things overcomplicated for him. Just let him do his thing. I mean, he's third in the league in passing touchdowns. And you look at the weapons that he has that he's working with. Not a single guy is over 1,000 yards. The other guys that are leading is Dak Prescott, who's got CeeDee Lamb over 1,000 yards. Brock Purdy, who's got both Brandon Ayuk and I can't think of the other guy that he has on his team, but both of them are high in yards receiving. Jordan Love, he has Jaden Reed, and Bo Melton was the first guy this year for the Packers to get over 100 yards receiving. And he's a guy that we just activated off the practice squad and now finally signed. So now we have our guys. We have our full slate of weapons here. Use them to your best ability. Make things simple and control the line of scrimmage. Control the trenches, and that's how you're going to be able to win the game here.
It's definitely going to be a big matchup here for the Packers. Looking at the injury report, just to cover that real quick. On Thursday, Jair was a full practice. Zane Anderson, Devondre Campbell, both full practice. A.J. Dillon did not practice, still with that neck injury. Rudy Ford did not practice, and Elton Jenkins was out of practice along with Isaiah McDuffie. Aaron Jones was limited. I expect him to be out there. Luke Musgrave limited. Josh Myers was a full go. Keyshawn Nixon was a full go. Jonathan Owens and Jaden Reed both limited along with Slayton. Darnell Savage was a full practice. Good to get Darnell Savage back there on the defense. Preston Smith did not practice. Looks like Quay Walker was a full go. Christian Watson limited, but expected to play. Dontavion Wicks full go. And Emmanuel Wilson was a full go for this one. So Packers starting to get healthy. That's what we had to see, was the Packers starting to get healthy moving into this one. For the Bears, Darnell Mooney he did not practice. He's in concussion protocol right now. So I'm not sure on the status of Darnell Mooney if he'll be out there on Sunday. You know, that's a big loss for the Bears without him. DJ Moore, he's been limited with an ankle injury, but I expect him to play, along with Khalil Herbert also is limited. Mercedes Lewis, he's just resting right now. His injury says rest. He did not practice on Thursday. So Bears relatively healthy. The Packers injury report looks like it's 3/4 of the team. It covers 3/4 of my screen, so that's why I'll say it's 3/4 of the team. Massive matchup, playoff implications. The thing to watch out for, how do the Packers respond? You know, last year, watching that game against the Lions late in the year, playoffs on the line, it just seemed like there wasn't that sense of urgency. Do the Packers have a sense of urgency in this game against the Bears that kind of sets them apart? They're a playoff team. The Bears aren't. Do the Packers prove they belong in the playoff picture here at the end of the year? That's going to be a big thing to watch out for. How does Jordan Love, if the Bears go up at any point in this game, how does Jordan Love respond? How does the offense respond? How do these rookies respond to trailing in a do-or-die game? Can they handle the pressure? It's a lot of pressure to put on a young team, but at the same time, it's a pressure that you got to be able to overcome. What do these rookies do when the pressure is on? The pressure is on in this game from the opening kick until that final buzzer rings. The pressure is on in this game. So how do the Packers respond to that pressure? That's a big thing to watch out for in this matchup.
And I don't really think that they have as much pressure as people think. Think about it. They've been doubted all year, and they're such a young team. Do people really think that they have a lot of pressure? People didn't even think that they were going to be here after that Giants loss, and then after the loss to Tampa Bay, people probably they looked at this Packer team and they're like, oh well, they just assumed that they're not making the playoffs. They weren't even going to have a chance after that. Well, now look at them. They beat Minnesota. Now they're right back in it. I don't really think they have a whole lot of pressure. I mean, people thought when Aaron Rodgers left, all right, rebuilding year. Is this really even a rebuilding year? You call Packers making the playoffs a rebuilding year? I mean, if this is a rebuilding year, I say it's a pretty good rebuilding year because, I mean, we didn't make the playoffs last year with Aaron Rodgers. So I'd say Jordan Love is even playing better than Aaron Rodgers than Aaron Rodgers played last year. Jordan Love's playing probably mutual to what he was playing last year. We're in the same situation here, and I don't think there's as much. I mean, yes, there's going to be pressure because we win, we make the playoffs, you lose. But I don't think a lot of people even thought the Packers were going to be in this situation after the start of their season and then after those few losses that we took towards the end there. I don't think a lot of people even thought that we were going to be in this situation to make the playoffs. And yet here we are. We got one more game to go fighting to get in here. And it just matters how we play on Sunday. I think it's they say pressure is a privilege, but this is actually a privilege here because we got a chance to go to the playoffs with a super young team. Yeah, we'll probably play Dallas or Eagles, and who knows what will happen in that game, but making another week to prepare for a team practicing together, those practices build up, and it's looking good for a super young team. I mean, there's a lot of hope coming into here.
I think that the pressure is on, and I think it's on for Matt LaFleur too. I think the pressure is going to be turned up, but you look at the Packers' last playoff appearances and what the result was. Losses at home against the 49ers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Lambeau. A loss to the Lions at Lambeau. Now you have a game against the Bears at Lambeau for the season. That's where, the pressure is going to be on the players. I mean, you always have pressure. You got to win games, and this is a big game. So, I mean, the pressure will be on a little bit there. But I think looking at the coaching staff, the pressure is on for Matt LaFleur. Can you win the big game? The biggest thing that they said against Mike McCarthy, he did win one Super Bowl, but he couldn't win the big game. That's what they say about him now in Dallas, is that he can't win the big game. Can Matt LaFleur win the big game? This is the big game of the season. You want the Packers to get into the playoffs, get some postseason experience, because postseason is different from the regular season. Getting that experience in the playoffs for these rookies will be phenomenal going into next year. I just really, with this team, with this game, I just feel the pressure's turned up simply from the city, the state of Wisconsin, and stuff like that leading into this one because of the results that we've seen at the end of years over the years now for Green Bay in do-or-die games.
In Jordan Love we trust, brother. That's all I can say. In Jordan Love we trust.
We got to trust them, and we got to trust Joe Barry for at least one more week. That him and his defense can get it.
Bright spot is if we lose this game, Joe Barry, you got to go, brother. This was your last shot. This one's your last shot. If we win this game, we might have him for another year, which might be sad, but we can get into that another time.
Yeah. That's the problem. That's a big problem. But, yeah, like you said, we'll get into that. Hopefully when we come back on Monday, we are talking about a Packers win. I mean, right now, if I had to pick, if I was a betting man, I'd take Green Bay. I take Green Bay to win that one. I like what the Packers have been doing as of late. The Bears are coming in hot. I think this is going to be a good game, better than it was week one. I think this is going to be a phenomenal game to end the year for Green Bay. And if I was a bet man, I'm taking Green Bay. But, you just got that little thing that is in the back of your head, remembering last season against the Lions where I said the Packers should win this game against the Lions. And we watched what happened there. Leading into this one, it's in the back of your head. It's always in the back of your head. So, like we're talking, Packers 325 coming up there against the Bears on Sunday. Massive matchup there on CBS. Did see Jim Nantz and Tony Romo are calling that game, so awesome to see. We're going to have two pretty good announcers there at Lambeau. Looks like at kickoff, there is going to be snow in the forecast. It wouldn't be a do-or-die playoff game for the Packers if snow wasn't in the forecast, and also a high of 28 degrees in that one. So
only
with that,
till January, Trey, to get some snow, but here we are.
We're going to get some snow. But with that, we're going to move on here. We're going to get into the NFL weekend schedule quick. Looking at Saturday games, we got the Steelers and Ravens. I'm going to take the Steelers. Simple fact of Ravens will be resting just about everybody. I think the Steelers will win that game.
Yep, same thing as you, Trey. Steelers, because they're resting.
Next up there, we have the Texans and the Colts. AFC battle, playoff on the line. The number one team in the AFC South on the line yet in there because Jacksonville, the Colts, and the Texans all tied at 9-7 right now. So with that, I got the Texans. CJ Stroud back. I think they'll go to Indianapolis and they'll win that game.
I'm going to go with Indianapolis because it's at Indianapolis.
Should be a good matchup there. Should be a good nightcap there on Saturday. Leading us into Sunday, Browns taking on the Bengals there. I'm going to take the Bengals to win the season finale. The Browns clinched up their playoff spot. Joe Flacco's sitting for them. They probably will sit most of the team, so I'm going to take the Bengals to win that one.
Give me the Browns still. Pretty good defense they got, so I'm going to take the Browns. Is Joe Flacco sitting for them?
Yep. They announced Joe Flacco will be out for that.
I was gonna pick him in the fantasy, but I guess not anymore.
Lay off of them, at least for this week. So, moving on there, we got the Vikings and the Lions coming up there at noon from Ford Field. The Lions still playing for a playoff spot, so everybody's going to be playing. I'm going to take the Lions to win that game.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Lions too, especially after how the Vikings looked last week.
Next up, coming up there, the Jaguars taking on the Titans. Like I said, the Jaguars playing for a playoff spot yet. I'm going to take the Titans upset win at home. I just got to do it because then the Texans get in the playoffs as the 4 seed.
Give me the Jaguars.
Jaguars to win that one. Next up, we have this game doesn't mean much for playoff implications. The Patriots and the Jets coming up there from Foxborough. Give me the Patriots. Bill Belichick, he might be leaving the Patriots, so I'm going to give him one last win there.
I'm going to go with you there too. I think the Patriots might win this one here.
Next up, we have the Falcons taking on the Saints. 8-8 Saints against the 7-9 Falcons. The Saints and Buccaneers both in first place there in the NFC South. So that game has got some implication to it. I'm going to take the Saints to win that one at home.
Yeah, give me the Saints also. Falcons did not look good against the Bears, and the Saints have been playing decent, so I'm going to go with the Saints also.
Next up, we have the opposite game there in the NFC South. The Buccaneers coming in 8-8, taking on the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to have to go with the Buccaneers to win that one.
Yeah, same with you. I mean, Buccaneers, they win this game. They clinch the division, so I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. Panthers, they're looking to pick high in the draft this year.
Yeah, they are. Next up would be the Packers and Bears. We already talked about that. We have the Broncos and the Raiders, both teams out of the playoff picture. I'm going to take the Broncos to get one last win there. They'll go to Vegas and win the upset.
I'm going to go with the Raiders on this one here.
You've been a consistent Raider pick over the past couple weeks. Next up, we have the Eagles and the Giants. 11-5 Eagles taking on the Giants. Give me the Eagles. They'll figure it out. They'll win that game.
I'm going to go with the Eagles, but don't be surprised if the Giants sneak attack them. I mean, the Giants almost beat the Rams, and the Eagles just lost to the Arizona Cardinals. So don't be surprised if the Giants get in there and sneak attack them, but I think the Eagles will be fine.
Next up, we have the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Seahawks mathematically out of the playoffs as of right now, looking at it. But I'm going to still take the Seahawks to win that game over the Cardinals.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks will be fine against the Cardinals here. I mean, if they want to still make the playoffs, they have to win this game. So still a lot on the line. I'm pretty sure they need to win this game in the and the Packers to lose here. So
Next up, we have the Chiefs and Chargers. I know Patrick Mahomes will not be playing in that one, but I'm still going to take the Chiefs just because Chargers just not it this year.
Yep, I'm gonna take the Chiefs with you on there. Chargers are just they're not it right now.
Next up, we have the Rams and the 49ers. Rams trying to get into the playoffs yet, and the trying to clinch up that 6th seed right now, going up against the 49ers. 49ers will be sitting most of the team in this one. I'm going to give me the Rams. The Rams will win that one.
I'm going to go with the 49ers. The Rams, they're not playing Matthew Stafford. I'm pretty sure they're content with just being in the playoffs, so I think they're resting some players as well. And I think the 49ers' their defense is good enough to hold the Rams under enough points for the 49ers to win the game, even though they're sitting a lot of players.
Next up, we have the Cowboys and the Commanders. I'm going to take the Cowboys to win that one there against the Commanders.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cowboys also. I'm pretty sure everyone's playing for them, so.
Yeah, oh yeah, they're still playing. They can still get into, I believe,
a 2 spot, right?
Yeah, with an Eagles loss, I believe the Cowboys could win the NFC East, and they could also, with a Lions, they beat the Lions, so they have the head-to-head matchup against the Lions. So with an Eagles loss, they could clinch up that 2 seed.
Yep.
So next up on Sunday night, the last game of the regular season, we're going to have a big matchup. The Bills taking on the Dolphins. Give me the Bills. I think the Bills are going to go to Hard Rock Stadium. I haven't liked what the Dolphins' defense has looked like as of late, and I'm going to take the Bills. Josh Allen's going to have to have a big day for the Bills to win that one, but I think he will, and the Bills will pull it out.
The winner of this one goes. They're the division, their division champ. So it's a big game, like you said. I'm gonna go with the Bills also. Like you said, the Dolphins' defense looking kind of iffy there. The Bills have been looking pretty strong these past few weeks. They're looking better and better. I think the Bills will be able to go down to Miami and win this one.
There we go. And lastly, before we get out of the NFL, before we end our 100th episode, it wouldn't be it if we didn't end it with fantasy. The last week of fantasy football. So, Austin, I think I picked first last week. I'm pretty sure I picked first.
I'm pretty sure you did too.
Who do you got? Quarterback, running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and a defense. What are you taking first this week?
I got to go CeeDee Lamb just to get him off the board. I got to get him first. I think he's the best wide receiver that's playing. So
CeeDee Lamb is going to have a big day there. I'm going to take, that's a toughie. That is a toughie in that one. I'm going to take in my first pick. Oh, I really wanted to go with CeeDee Lamb. You stole him from me right away. That's tough. You know what? I'm going to go. Give me a Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Lions.
That's a quality pick. I'm going to go. Let me see who this guy's playing here. I don't know about that one. Trying to find a decent running back. Because usually I go Christian McCaffrey. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey's sitting. Might go Kyren Williams, though. I know he's been pretty decent these past few games. And they're going to have to kind of rely on him a little bit there. He is playing San Fran. Never mind. Now I'm picking Kyren Williams. I don't really know. I might just go with my gut. I might go Bijan Robinson here.
Bijan Robinson. Give me Kenneth Walker III going up against that Cardinals defense.
That's a solid pick. I'm going to go David Njoku, tight end. He's been having a pretty good couple games here. So
Njoku with that pick?
I think he's playing.
I think so. I'm not sure. I didn't see their full list of who's going to be out. I think I'm going to take Tyreek Hill. Give me Tyreek Hill.
Solid. I would go Justin Jefferson, but his quarterback is probably going to be broken half the time. So probably be bad. I'm gonna go Stephon Diggs. I'm gonna match you there on the other side of Buffalo Bills versus Miami. I'm gonna go Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs is a good pick there. Stephon Diggs with that one. Give me Sam Laporta. I've went with Laporta for multiple weeks. Give me Laporta from the Lions.
And then for quarterback, I'm gonna go Josh Allen right off the bat because I think he's a solid one that's actually playing.
I'm gonna take Dak Prescott going up against the Commanders defense.
I hope you're disappointed. Just saying.
I probably will be.
And then we got the defense, right?
Yep, defense.
Give me. I just don't know who's all playing if I pick San Fran. That's the problem. I just don't know. I might go Dallas defense, actually. Them going up against the Commanders, not a good Commanders team. I'm going to go Dallas defense.
That was my defense.
Can always go New York.
Give me Devon Achane as my flex position for the Dolphins. It looks like Rasheem Mostert didn't practice on Wednesday, so it's looking like he probably won't play on Sunday. So going up against a not so good defense in the Bills, give me Devon Achane.
Devon Achane. I just got my flex left, huh?
Yep, your flex, and I got my defense.
All right, let me see. Might have to pick to the depths of Jamar Chase. I feel like wouldn't be a bad pick, but they're going up against A.J. Brown. I might go A.J. Brown on this one. A.J. Brown playing against the Giants. Give me A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown. I'm going to take the Patriots defense up against the Jets. Jets, terrible. Patriots defense, Bill Belichick, they'll figure out how to slow them down. I'm going to take that matchup. So there we go. Solid picks for our last week of fantasy. We'll probably do fantasy in the playoffs. Gives us something to do, something to keep us out of trouble, they say, right?
Yep.
So with that, that's about all we got. It was an awesome 100th episode. We went through a lot today, got into a lot of college basketball. A lot of college basketball happening this weekend. A lot of Wisconsin sports happening this weekend. Make sure you're tuning in to watch the Packers and Bears coming up there on Sunday at 3:25 on CBS. So with that, this has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Hopefully on Monday we're talking about a Packers win. But until we're talking about that on Monday, we will catch you guys back here. Deuces.